Morning, y'all. I'm not as good at extemporaneous, so I had to write it all down. So, in preparation for this, it occurs to me that I'm probably starting with the wrong book. So, I want to say that I do really love our readings each week, and I often find myself bringing the program home with me, and when something particular strikes me. When Jake and I were married, the readings I asked Peter to include in the service were actually the readings from the previous Easter. I loved the way the service and those readings spoke to us about the beauty of transformation, transition, change. I tell you that to say that I do realize that in talking at church, I should likely stick to the Bible. But as I've been thinking about what makes Nativity special, why we give, and the importance of this place in our lives, it's actually Faulkner who keeps coming to mind for me. In As I Lay Dying, one of the primary characters and strongest, most psychologically complex narrators says, "How often have I lain beneath rain on a strange roof thinking of home?" Isn't that beautiful? I read that line, I read it in my teens and then again during college, and it's never left me. I've been in the Episcopal Church my entire life. As a little girl in Athens, Georgia, I did the white frocks, big bows, and colored on the visitor cards in the pew. When my parents divorced when I was 12, my mom and I started at the nearer Episcopal Church, where we wore jeans regularly, and they gave home-baked bread at communion. We went to the 8 a.m. service in the summers so we could get home and spend the rest of the day in the pool. The 8 a.m. was the more efficient option for us. They didn't have pews, just chairs, and a great youth group where I met kids from all over town. I went to college in my hometown too, and I don't remember attending church for anything during that period, other than my cousin's wedding. But I drove past both of these churches of my childhood on JordanCreel, on my way somewhere, on my way to my dad's office, to my afternoon job, passing en route to the fun that college kids are always planning. These churches of my childhood were there, patient and present. In Atlanta, Jake and I joined the cathedral. Much like we do at Nativity, we showed up when we could, which is to say, sometimes, and we sat in one of the back quadrants. There, a homily focused on widows and widowers and living with loss was one Jake and I would both remember years later when we were faced with our own losses. Eventually, I came to Dothan to visit the people who would become my in-laws, and we usually sat right back there. We sometimes snuck out after communion, and no one ever scolded us about it. I stood right here near the steps holding a bouquet when my sister-in-law was married. Jake and I stood right up here when our son Jack was baptized alongside his cousin Susie. We cried together on that front row when Jake's mom Susan was eulogized. My dad says that church is an hour of quiet in the week, a calmness in all the noise. The service here for me is contemplative and soothing, bringing out the same feelings that this line I love from Faulkner articulates. How often have I lain beneath rain on a strange roof thinking of home? There's a longing in that, but there's also the constant it implies. When we're really lucky, home is a constant. Home, we all know, is also a feeling, a quiet, a peace, maybe one of the deepest we have. Something we recognize instantly, but can't always exactly define. Possibly home is a type of faith too. For Jake, Jack, and me, we feel that home here. Thanks to all of you, now to Father Carl, thanks to the beauty of the choir, and thanks to the welcome without judgment that resides in this place, abidingly and constantly. When we're here, when we're away, when we're under a strange roof, this home, for us, brings peace, joy, and calm. Thank you, guys.